This week we start the fourth Sefer, Bamidbar. If we're following the thread of the story, Bereshis was the story of the creation, and of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the roots of our nation. Shemos were the main events. Yitzias Mitzrayim, leaving Egypt, getting the Torah, building the Mishkan, how the infrastructure of the nation was built throughout Sefer Shemos. And then once we had that, we had the Mishkan, we had the Torah, so then we had to know how to do it. We needed instructions. The whole Sefer Vayikra is full of mitzvahs, mostly focusing on the mitzvahs that are connected to the Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash, the service in the Beis HaMikdash and in the Mishkan. And now it's the second month of the second year. It's after Pesach. We already have the Mishkan. We already started using the Mishkan. We already know what to do. And now we're starting to live as a nation. This is what Bamidbar is all about, how we lived as a nation. It was supposed to be a short journey into Eretz Yisrael, and we were supposed to have gone straight into Eretz Yisrael, build the Beis HaMikdash. Unfortunately, because of the sins of the Meraglim and the other sins that we read sadly about in this Sefer Bamidbar, it took much longer. It took 40 years. But we're starting now to live as a nation. So what's the first thing we do? Says the Torah, Hashem said to Moshe, count the Jewish people. Now we know that in every country, in every nation, we do census. They count the people. It's nothing new. David HaMelech did it in his time. You have to count the people. We have to know how many people there are. Why? We have to know in a city. We have to know what kind of infrastructure we need for the city. What kind of roads do we need? What kind of budget do we need? What kind of taxes should we put on the people? We have to know how many people there are. What kind of people? How old they are? Where they live? What kind of lives they have? So it's very important to know these numbers. But here, the Yidden are still in the Midbar. They're still in the desert. They haven't even gotten to Eretz Yisrael yet. Why are we counting them now? They should count them then. Obviously, says Rav Hirsch at the beginning of Sefer Bamidbar, the beginning of his Pirush in Sefer Bamidbar, this counting is not like any regular national census that we do in order to understand the status of the people of Israel. This counting has a completely different message. This counting is the Mishpachotzam, the Beis HaVosim, says Rav Hirsch. Not only we counted how many people, also in this parasha and the following parashas, we're going to learn how they lived in the Midbar, where they were in relation to the center of our lives and the center of the Jewish people, the Mishkan and the Torah and the Aron HaBris that was in the Mishkan. The most central point of our attention has to be the Mishkan. Around them, the holiest people, the Shevet Levi. And then on each side, those Shvatim that are closer, those Shvatim that are a little further away. And Hashem says at this moment, before we do that, I want to know how many they are. I want to know how many are in Reuven, how many are in Shimon, how many are in Levi, because each one has to understand the unique individuality of each person, and also his responsibility to his fellow Jew and to the Klal Yisrael, to the overall nation, to the overall Klal Yisrael, to the overall nation of Klal Yisrael. What is my obligation to keep sacred the Torah, to keep the Torah protected? And how am I going to do that as an individual and as part of the nation? That's why Hashem said now, before we start living as a nation, we have to know, each person has to know that he's a person, he's counted, 1, 10, 25, I'm number 26, 27. Each person has an individual worth, but he also has a responsibility. He has an achrayus, the entire Klal Yisrael, and to the entire message, and also to the entire destiny, the overall destiny of Klal Yisrael, keeping the Torah sacred no matter where we are. If we're in the Midbar, it has to be kept sacred like this. If we're in Eretz Yisrael like that, unfortunately we're now in Golas, spread around the world, but our role stayed the same, and each person has to know that he's an individual with his unique talents, and he's also a part of the great Klal Yisrael. Right before Shavuos, what a timely message from Rav Hirsch, Zeichat Tzadik Levrocha, that a person accepts the Torah, that we get ready for Shavuos when we're going to Makabel the Torah, accepting the Torah. Every person has his own personal chelek, his own personal portion of the Torah, which is his and only his, but at the same time he's part of the entire Sefer Torah and in the entirety of the Torah. And a person has a responsibility as an individual, as a unique individual with his unique talents and strengths, but also as a part of Klal Yisrael, of keeping that Torah sacred, of keeping it holy, of keeping it protected, and keeping the integrity of the Torah intact. Good Shabbos, and a Freilichen, Chag Kosher v'Sameach, Shavuos Kosher v'Sameach. Please don't forget to subscribe. You'll get the video every week by subscribing. Put a like. Thank you very much. Good Shabbos.